well, Shannon, I'll set you up with a conference call meeting with the head of the minerals division of our Forest Service, top of the chain in Washington, D.C. when it comes to mining claims. So Jerry and I, as my right-hand guy, we had a 2.5-hour conference call with this head cheese, as well as their head legal counsel, which means their high-powered attorney who gets paid $1 million a year for, and a couple of other people that I don't even know who what the function was. But anyway, and we brought up all of these sincere facts.
You guys got to join American Mining Rights on Facebook. Follow them. Know your rights.
Over the years. And they said, oh, well, we promised to fix this, and we're going to do this, and I don't know, this is horrible. We're really sorry on behalf of the Forest Service, and we appreciate Mr. Trump bringing you guys to us, and we're going to do this. And I said, okay, buddy, but the one thing I don't want to have to do is I don't want to have to bust back through your firewall and try to make phone call contact and all this kind of stuff. I go, look, I want updates every 2 weeks. What are you doing? Who's getting fired? Who's being held accountable and all that? Not one time, that was October of 2018, not once since then has he ever returned my call, or answered my emails. Not once. So that's the problem. So I started a letter writing campaign to President Trump again and said, look, you've got some holdovers from the previous administration that are concealing and sweeping all of this stuff under the rug. I need some help here. We need some help as the mining community. And so about 6 months ago, I started working with a senator that you may know. His name is Senator Mike Lee. Senator Mike Lee is a very conservative senator out of Utah, constitutional conservative. He was considered actually for the United States Supreme Court. Really smart guy, pretty much no-nonsense kind of guy, as well as working with his former chief of staff. As we're just announcing this today, so Senator Mike Lee has set up some meetings in Washington, D.C. for myself and Jerry, my right-hand guy. We will be going there in about 3.5 weeks to sit down with the senior Trump administration to voice your concerns that we're going to take on your behalf, and to meet with the Secretary of the Department of Interior, as well as the Secretary of the Department of Agriculture. Hopefully, I think that those meetings are going to take place. So we're pretty excited about that. So what we're going to do is going to take the your biggest three most concerns to Washington, D.C. So let me just ask you guys in the crowd here, what's your number one thing that you think you would like? If you had President Trump walk in here right now, what would you say? What would you want him to fix? Okay. So let me address that, in case you guys couldn't hear. He said that there should be a mandatory amount of time to issue a permit. So let's just take Forest Service, for example, and let's say it's a plan of operations. Now, a plan of operations is something that the miner determines would be required if you're going to cause what's called a significant disturbance. That means if I've got a 40-acre claim out of Greeley Hill or Boulderville, California, and I'm going to go and run a T8 bulldozer, that's going to cause a significant disturbance. That would trigger that plan of operations. Okay? In answer to your question, they already do have that requirement, and it's a 60-day requirement. I'll stop you from asking 17 more questions about that. The problem is that you get people that work in the Forest Service that don't like mining, they don't like you, and they're going to do everything that they can do to prohibit that. And the reason that they get away with it is that nothing ever happens to them. And I'll give you an example, and then we'll come back to the issue, is we caught a lady, we actually sued the Forest Service. AMRA did on behalf of a miner just a couple of years ago.
Oh, wow.
He was in a creek panning on an AMRA claim. He was an AMRA member panning, perfectly legal in the state of California. He was digging with a little garden spoon. Forest Service cops came up, walked in, and said, okay, hey, everybody pull their ID out. I need to know who is in my forest. Now, first of all, that's fundamentally illegal on a mining claim. You got Fourth Amendment issues, on and on and on. And so one thing kind of escalated into another, and the guy says, look, you have no right to do this, I'm not going to give you my ID. So she pulls the taser off of her head, walks up, puts it up against his forehead, and says, you're going to give me your effing ID right now.
Oh, wow, violating her rights.
He's a retired sergeant, drill sergeant from the military. We couldn't file a lawsuit fast enough. The Forest Service couldn't settle the lawsuit fast enough for this either. But my point, and it's getting back to your issue, that person should have been fired.
Yes, sir.
Fired. We don't need them in public service. Hang on a second.
Yes, sir.
We don't need them in public service. That's part of the problem. So when there's no ramifications for egregious or really, really bad behavior in these federal agencies, then what's the incentive to do the right thing, or do what you're mandated to do, or do what your policies say, or do what the laws say? Because if they're willing to completely ignore somebody's Fourth Amendment right, then what's to prevent them from trying to give you a prohibition of mining? So, in respect to your comment about 7 years, we have 2 guys right now that we're representing that are out of Montana in the same national forest that have been waiting 6.5 years. We had a meeting with the Forest Service in Montana over this guy's plan of operations. He's applied for a plan of operations. All he's doing is running a little tiny one of the smaller bobcats and dumping it into a little wash plant. He's on the side of a mountain, and it's not even in a floodplain or anything like that. So we beat up the Forest Service, immediately got into a plan of operations. Like I say, it's been waiting 5.5 years. We step in, kind of, said, look, here's your options. You're either going to do what the law says, and here's what we're telling you is written in plain black and white. And they went, oh, yeah, hey, we're sorry it's been so long. Okay, there you go. So, boom, his plan of operations gets approved. We shake hands with the guy, and we're like, hey, we wish you the best of luck on and on. Calls us 6 months later, and they yanked his road out from underneath him. Now they're saying that his mining claim is in a floodplain. It's on the side of a mountain. They've trotted out people that they've claimed to be experts. One is a fuel tech that they have labeled now as a geologist. And so it's things like that. When you get people that are ideologically driven, that they don't care about what the laws state, what their regulations state, what their mandate states, or anything like that, and that there's no accountability, that's why you've got problems. So, going back to this, that is specifically one of the, it's not the number one item that we're going to bring up, but that is, the second thing is that there is no accountability at this level. So what we're going to do is to talk to them, to the Trump administration, about if you've got, he did some pretty amazing things with the Veterans Administration, the VA, recently, that if you screw up in the VA now, you're fired. And that's the way it should be. Because you get somebody that pulls a taser on a miner sitting in a creek like that, they should be fired.
Yes,
you do
sir.
that in the private sector, you're fired. People need to be held accountable. So yes, sir. I think that you bring up an important point is, yeah, I think that they should be excluded from any federal agency. That's something that the Trump administration would have to make that determination on. But for me, I think that they need to remove some of the other things. The government tries to protect itself. And it's kind of like, none of these politicians that want to pass all these different healthcare bills and stuff like none of them ever have to have the same health care that you have. They don't. They would never pass something that they themselves would have to do. Otherwise, you would have the same health care that they have. That would be really nice for all of us, but that ain't gonna happen. So it would be nice. So what they do is they pass laws that protect them, and you can't sue them like you do a normal citizen. Individually, it makes it really, really tough. Civil lawsuits like that, because I wanted to sue this girl individually because I wanted to bankrupt her and make her lose a damn job. You know, if the government isn't going to step up and do that, then maybe we should. There is some things that you can kind of do, but it becomes very, very costly, and it's really kind of difficult to do. So I think that there's some things that they can do, but what I want to focus on here, guys, is what specifically can we do when we go to Washington, D.C. and talking with the Trump administration about fixing the most sincere, high-level issues that you have today. So, number one, sir. I honestly can't hear you. I get so much noise going on. That's the number one issue right there, is really that the states, and this is in my opinion, the states are completely and utterly ignoring federal law. Period. I mean, it's just plain and simple. And I don't expect you guys to know about all the illegal ins and outs of all these different things, but NPDES, National Pollution Discharge Elimination System permits, which was created by the EPA, and it really kind of exploded into this totalitarian, utopian nightmare kind of thing under the Obama administration, where they took over all waters of the United States. It's called the Lotus Rule that Obama did. And they literally decided that every single waterway in America